is the Popcorn Heroes review of It Deuce.
It's Chapter 2.
Yeah, thank you, Pedro. It Deuce.
Deuce. It sounds like what you guys thought the movie was.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a deuce. Anyways, I am Armando. With me, as always, Pedro.
Hello, hello.
And God's gift, Orlando.
Yo, yo, yo.
What's up, man?
Yo.
What's going on? How are them little kids?
What?
Wait, disclaimer. I work with kids, not.
Yeah.
You can't say that. Like, all those little kids.
It's very weird
Well,
out of context.
It's actually very in context because it was about kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
kids.
But he's killing kids, and he's creepy. Like,
Perfect.
Orlando has to help children.
yeah, I'm trying to be at least creepy as possible.
And talking about creepy and helping kids, Orlando, I'd love to you to break psychology down of the It kids. It must be fun. Very fun episode.
Nah, okay. So what I do is I work in behavior therapy.
Yeah, break down their behaviors. Man.
Right. But we don't look in behavior therapy. You don't really look at their mental state because that can't be measured. So like depression or anxiety or like whatever, how they feel inside, like, mentally.
Yeah.
You can't measure that because you can't put like a timer on it and see how it feels. We measure behavior, something that's observable by the human eye. So like if you pick up a cup and you drop it, okay, that's a behavior. So I can measure that. Or if you hit, so we work on that. So I'm already so far removed on the mental thinking things. Now I'm just geared to like behavior and how it functions that I really can't no longer speak. I'm speaking on my ass at this point. Like, I mean, disclaimer, I've been speaking on my ass for most of the time. So, but more or less than ever, like I could talk more confidently about behavior therapy than mental health and that
Interesting.
aspect. But we can always talk about with these kids in general and what we think and anything.
Anyway, a conversation for another time.
Right, sure.
Which means never, Orlando. Shut the fuck up. That wasn't what I asked you, Orlando. Yeah, man.
Fuck, I lost
Chapter
my
two.
train of thought. Yeah.
Summary.
Yes, as always, we're going to begin with, quick summary of the movie. And then we're going to give our small thoughts and ratings on the movie. And then we're going to just jump right in to the spoilers.
All right.
Make this quick, guys, because, I feel like this movie is more about spoilers than anything else.
Okay.
So, Pedro.
All right. Summary of the film. Please watch It Chapter 1 because
Yes.
this is called It Chapter 2 and you have to watch it.
You have to.
Like you have to.
Yeah.
And it's also better than it.
You need to watch one because they do a lot of references.
Yeah, there's so much to it. It's basically flashbacks into this too.
Yeah.
So this movie takes place 27 years after the first one, and spoiler alert, after they defeat Pennywise the Clown. He resurfaces after 27 years.
It's a cycle.
And, yep, it's a cycle of violence and whatnot. Violence calls to it, and an act of violence happens that calls him back into the town. And pretty much one of the losers, which is a group of kids, one of them calls the band back together so they can go and fight it because that's the promise they made at the end of part 1. And it's pretty much just them trying to, defeat it again. That's
true.
pretty much the gist
Yeah,
of this
good
movie.
one.
But again, a lot of callbacks to the first one, so definitely watch the first
Yeah.
one and shut this off.
Orlando.
So,
Give me your rating and what you thought. Very small thoughts, sir.
I'll give it a 3. I liked it. I thought it was a very good movie. Kind of too long, but I expected it to be long because I seen like the original like here and there, and I remember the last one being very long. And so, yeah, it was a bit too long. I thought the actors were great. Majority of them, I felt like they nailed like the adult version of the kids. I do think that the kids outshine the adults in every way, like in every scene, because the kids are also back in this movie, so they have like flashbacks. And I think the kids are overall just better. Like they have better chemistry and they just nail it. Bill Hader does a great job as Rich. I liked his characters a lot. I think Jessica Chastain does a great job as well. What's the other one?
So Beverly is Jessica Chastain. Bill is James McAvoy, which is the stuttering kid. Then there's Richie, which you mentioned. And then there's Mike.
Which is the little tub, right?
No. Mike is Mike is the black kid.
Oh, Mike is the black kid. Okay.
Ben is the
Old Spice guy.
the chubby kid.
Uh-huh.
And then you got Eddie, which is the hypochondriac.
Eddie.
So
I do like Eddie too. I think those
Yeah.
three characters. I think they.
well, they always were the main ones.
Yeah, and I think they nailed like watching the flashback.
And
I think
then,
okay, you guys.
You nailed the kids.
You nailed the kids. I don't think James McAvoy. Like I get it, you got over your stutter, but the kids like with the flashback with the kid, like his stutter was like awesome, like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And James McAvoy has it when he's like kind of like nervous or like in a weird
Yeah.
situation because he's an adult now. Like he most of the time now can control his stutter. So it's interesting to see him. But I've seen James McAvoy so many times that now it looks like just James McAvoy.
Yeah.
So he's at least in this movie he is just James McAvoy playing
Yeah.
a role.
Pedro.
Go ahead, Pedro. Yeah.
I give it a 3 out of 5 as well. I liked it. It's actually the opposite of Orlando. I felt like it wasn't long enough. There was a lot of parts in the movie that felt either brisked through too quickly, and I'm just like, wait, that's it, you know? And I felt like a lot of scenes cut too early, and I was just like, what the hell? And then I read that it's missing an hour, and they're gonna do a director's cut later, and I'm like, you know what? I wish I would have seen the director's cut. So I actually want to see what they cut out because I feel like it really was missing in this one, especially. I know they cut out from the first one, but the first one had better pacing. This one, the pacing was a little off, and I'm hoping it's because of the editing. So I'd like to see it to get like a full thing of it, but yeah, I agree with you. The kids definitely outshined the adults, but
So good, man.
I actually thought Bill Hader was a little too much.
He was
because-
getting there, but I felt like for the whole movie, I feel like he was like, all right, like I get you, I get your like you're playing the bully, like making jokes all the time, but you're fucking scared.
Yeah.
But
it was just weird. He turned it into a comedy. Like I know the first one wasn't that scary, and this one definitely was even less scary.
Yes,
because
I agree.
This movie was practically a comedy because everyone had their one-liners. Everyone had their jokes in the middle of shit
Well,
happening, and I didn't like that.
You had the kid who was afraid of everything.
Right, who was constantly
throwing
joking.
jokes.
And there were a
Bill
few-
Hader was jokes.
Yeah, but everyone was kind of throwing like, oh, not again. You know, like everyone's kind of doing that. Up here he is. Oh, he's a fucking. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know. I wanted them to feel more scared because this is supposed to be them remembering again. You
the
know?
fear, yeah.
The fear again. So it's kind of like, oh, be scared, and then you can kind of like go back to
Overcome the
whatever.
fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was almost like they should have been starting from scratch, but I felt like they were already like, oh, okay, yeah, it's him again. So
Yeah, I guess because they're adults now, so like maybe they kind of get
maybe
the gist of it.
It just threw me off a little bit. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it. Although just like the original, the second half was nowhere near as good as the first half. Even in the original, I thought the same. I was like, I like the kid part better. Same with here, and a lot of people that read the book have said the same. It just goes with the
Just the way the movie is, how the book is, yeah.
Yeah, it just goes with the material.
Yeah.
It's just inevitable. So, but yeah, that's it.
I give it a 2.5 out of 5. I mean, it was an okay movie. I just didn't really enjoy it. I did not enjoy it as much as the first one. Like one was so good to me, and the kids themselves were so good. You know, like just the chemistry those kids had, man, and the way they acted, and like just the way the movie flowed. Everything about it. Like I read somewhere that it's hard. It's hard. I don't know. I was talking to you. I don't know who it was but it's hard for people to be scared with adults like it is to be scared with kids.
Yeah, it's. I told you about
Yeah.
a review I was listening to.
Yeah,
Basically saying
and it's
that,
so true.
Yeah.
Because you as a kid, kids are more prone to be scared of anything essentially. So you feel the fear and you see the fear. And the good thing about those kids is that you saw that with them. Like some kids are terrible kid actors, but these kids were really good. So you saw, and you're like, oh shit, this is scary. So like, I don't get me wrong, I wasn't scared of either movie, but on the first one, I could see why people would be scared of the first one. Like I could see the things that would make it scary, and it felt scary. It felt more ominous to me, the first one, and then this one was just. It was just too blockbustery, I guess you can say.
Right. I mean, I think honestly, even if you put the same scares that they had, right?
You shouldn't have same scares.
But I'm just saying, just hear me out. If you put the same scare that they had for the adults, right, and you just add the kids, just reverse the actors and put the kids actors, I feel in general it would be a more intense scene. Because, like you said, it's kids, and I feel like that's kind of like where it loses its magic, where It's a spoiler, but whatever, never mind. But when we get to spoiler, I'll bring that up. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like,
Yeah.
I just think that, and it's also a nostalgia thing, because we've all been kids before, we've all been
Yeah.
scared. And it harkens back to the thing I told you about, like, we talked about Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming. And we're, spoiler alert, Peter Parker, he's underneath, like, some rubble, and he's, like, fucking crying out. And to me, that was, like, the part where I'm like, shit, this fucking guy nails it. Like,
Yeah.
that's when Tom Hardy, to me, became Spider-Man, because I was like,
It was scary.
because he was afraid. Like, he went from superhero to a fucking little boy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, like, can someone fucking save him? Because he's fucking trapped underneath, like, this fucking
Yeah.
concrete building or whatever. And then that's what It 1 does, where you automatically, like, feel for them because,
Yeah.
like, I know your fear because I've been scared before.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't want you to be scared. And
Yeah.
as adults, it's kind of like, as adults, you want them, like, yo, get over it. Like, you know what you gotta do. You gotta man up. So as adults, when you see their fear, it doesn't hit you as hard.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I also feel like even if I were to put those kids in the situation that this movie was in, I wouldn't care. Because the thing is that the scary situation in this movie, and it goes back to what me and Pedro were talking about, there's too much fucking CG in this movie. And since they got a bigger budget, they were like, oh, fuck it, let's just throw in more CG, let's do this. I'm just like, it just took me out of it a lot.
Yeah, I forgot that was one of my complaints.
Yeah.
I liked it. Sure, the first one had CG, plenty.
Of course, yeah,
plenty.
it had to have.
But I
it
felt
felt
like
more real.
It felt more real, and they used a lot more practical. In this one, they were just like, let's just CG everything. And there
Yeah.
were a lot of scenes, which I'll mention later as we get into, where I'm just like, that could have been practical, and it would have been fine.
But it
So-
just felt so fake, you know. And some of the CG didn't even feel real, and I was just like, "Fuck, dude! Like this is just kind of like taking me out of this the whole situation."
Right.
And I don't think I ever felt like that in the first one. I think in the first one, the biggest scene I can remember right now is when the kid was
Well, are we getting into spoilers?
no, in the first one,
Oh.
when he was looking at the fire, like the memory he had of the fire,
Mm.
when he was looking at the side of the building, he got scared.
Yeah, yeah.
That felt very kind of fake to me in a sense. But it was still a scary moment because you're like, oh shit, like the hands are coming out, and it's just like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's just like this movie didn't feel. I couldn't see the scares. I couldn't see like the movie felt very weird to me, you know. And it's just I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it. Like the first
Right.
one was so good to me, and like looking at this, I'm just like, fucking, it was so long, dude. I'm like this. I think if they would have made it tighter, I think it would have been better, maybe. Like condensed some parts of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But regardless, like I just.
It could be an editing issue because Page is saying it's an hour. There's an hour missing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to watch that hour just to see how it all plays out and maybe
Yeah.
to see if there's better scares there.
Probably. But even with that hour, I wouldn't even want the hour. I want it shorter. I want like I don't know. It was just too long for me. There was points I was just like, okay,
Well,
all
the
right,
original-
keep on. Let's go. You know, this movie was 20 minutes longer than the first one, or
Yeah, yeah.
or 15 minutes long, some shit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I'm just like, come on, man, like just hurry this shit up, like. You know where we're getting, and the climax at the end was just so fucking stupid.
Right. I mean,
And I'm
the
just
thing
like,
is, that's the material. Like the ending, the way it ends is the material. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's
It was just dumb.
wait.
man.
We'll get into it, but this ended more optimistic than the material.
right.
If that's what you're getting at.
Oh no, just in general, like the climax of the movie, the third act was fucking stupid. I didn't really like it. I'm just like, ugh, all right, I'm like just slogging along, so I just didn't really enjoy it.
Okay.
But let's get into the spoilers because it's the only way we could actually talk about this shit.
Right.
Spoilers ahead, everyone. If you've seen the movie, keep on listening, and if you haven't, pause it, look at it, look where you are, survey the area,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
and
let's
then
start.
remember where you are.
Yeah.
Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
Were you referencing Buckaroo Banzai?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Spoilers ahead.
Because he goes, no matter where you are, never forget, you're always there.
Cool. Yeah, that's true. You're always there.
Yeah, that's pretty.
No matter where you are, there you are.
You're there.
You're always there.
You're there.
Huh.
You are there.
Okay.
Anyways,
Spoilers.
chapter 2, spoilers.
Let me start off by saying the biggest complaint I have in this fucking movie, and I talked to Pedro and Orlando about this. The fucking bully had no place to be in this movie.
Right.
At all.
At
At all. Like you said it, like if there's an hour cut, there's probably the majority of his shit.
It's
Pedro.
his shit.
So
It's clearly his shit.
but regardless, like if you're gonna cut an hour, and his plot line didn't make no sense in the movie.
Yeah.
It didn't add and change anything to the movie. You should have just cut it.
Yeah.
And that would have been like what, maybe 5 minutes less?
Nah, it would have been longer than that,
Probably like
dude.
10.
No, bro.
10 minutes less?
I'll probably even go as far as 20, dude.
20 minutes less?
How-
All his scenes together add to 20 minutes in this
No,
movie.
no.
I was
Probably
like
not.
10.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know,
And,
it's
and I
so
liked
fucking
it
funny.
when they were building up to it. I liked it. I'm like, oh, cool. They brought in the other bully. I'm like, his acting's a little out of there. But I mean, whatever. He's fucking crazy. But there's that scene that I told you where I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be scary or funny or both or what. But the part where he stabs Eddie in the mouth, and it's just like this awkward, like, he's laughing, and then Eddie's kind of like laughing, and then at the same time like scared, and then he's like slowly creeping away. Everyone in the theater was cracking up at that scene,
Yeah.
like cracking up because I'm just like, what the fuck? I
It's-
didn't
Yeah,
understand.
it's weird. And then,
Yeah, what
It was very
genre were you going for? What tone were you going for with this? Because there were a lot of scenes in that movie, in general, where it's just like, oh, this is supposed to be a scary scene, but it comes off as hilarious.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this isn't what it should be.
but sometimes if it involves the clowns, sometimes he could be funny.
Him, yes, makes sense because he likes to taunt you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm talking about scenes of like other shit.
Okay.
Mostly it was the bully scenes or even the kids, the way they reacted with stuff. Where I'm just
Yeah.
like, obviously the clown will be like, oh, and he'll start like walking slowly,
Yeah.
like he's like after you. Especially when he's in the locker and he's like chasing him. He's like, oh no. Like,
My favorite part was when Ben, the fat boy, is
Yeah.
Ben, right?
Yeah,
Ben-
it's Ben.
When Ben is like drowning in like the quicksand or whatever, and he's like, "You're always gonna be a fat boy." yo, I fucking died. I was just like,
all those push-ups for what? You're always gonna be a fat boy.
I was reading this article where it was before this movie, but they were saying that like horror movies, like they should get more like noms. And I feel like the guy who plays
Oh my God.
the clown,
He's so good.
He should
Yes.
get fucking nominated. Like
so good.
Bill
He's so-
Skarsgård is amazing.
he's so,
so
good,
good, man.
and it just in this role, I feel like he should get nominated. Like something like
Yeah.
Well, he killed it though. Even in the first movie, he was
kill-
fucking amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's so
good.
he's so scary, and then he's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
funny and then also like really nice. Like I know when he starts
Like
acting all
in the beginning of the movie when he's like, "Oh, I'm just a sad clown," and when he's like,
with the
"Why don't you play with me?"
I mean, yeah, that's somewhat the beginning. Yeah, with the girl.
yeah,
Yeah.
at the very beginning, like what,
That's probably
maybe
like- that's
15
probably-
minutes into the movie.
Okay, yeah.
But like that whole scene when he was like, "Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
sad," I'm just
No
like,
one
"Oh."
wants to play with me.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
1, 2, and he just stares. You're supposed to say home. I was like,
my
oh
God, it was
shit.
so good.
Yeah.
Dude.
That scene was awesome. I was
Yeah.
like, this feels like part 1.
Yeah.
That was a great scene.
It
That
was an
whole
amazing
scene
scene.
was great.
It was an
Yeah.
amazing scene.
Yeah, he does so well, and I'm just like,
There were a lot of the
They-
forms that I liked, like the old lady scene. I know we saw it in the trailers, so
which
it
it
kinda-
ruined it because
which
it was so good.
It
It
did
was so
ruin
good.
it, but when we first saw it in the trailers,
It was crazy.
we were like, this is a great scene.
Yeah, I'm like, this is it, dude.
It was so good, and you know what fucking ruined it? The CG.
Yeah, at
When-
the end,
when-
when she becomes big. And,
I'm like, you couldn't have done that practical.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you couldn't have done it practical? You had to give her those fucking googly eyes and
Yeah.
all that
It-
shit.
it was just stupid,
It
like-
looked like I was watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like
Yeah.
I was like,
It was very cartoony, and
Right.
it took me out of the scene. I think it would have been scarier.
Yes.
If they would have kind of like turned off the lights and just had some lights flickering.
maybe.
And,
And
the
then
old lady coming at you with makeup or something like that.
something
I'm
like
oh
that.
my
Yeah.
God, that would have been scary.
that
dude.
whole it was bad.
But like it's CG. And
yeah.
I'm just like,
I mean, you mentioned earlier the quicksand scene, horrendous. Especially
Right, it looked bad.
It's so bad, especially when it's going back to Beverly's scene where she's being drowned in blood.
Yeah.
And that was actually her, in a pool of blood
Yeah.
or whatever,
Right.
a pool of red, whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's practical. And then it cuts back to him with the CG falling. I'm just like, really? You couldn't have
got sand and
you couldn't have got sand fall down and then maybe do like a quicksand scene where he's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, something.
like he's in a box and there's just sand falling on top of him.
Right.
And like that would have been cool too.
Something, yeah. Instead of it, I'm just like, nah, you took me out of it. That scene really took me out of it. The old lady took me out of it. I actually like the Paul Bunyan though. Interestingly enough,
Which one's that one?
Paul Bunyan, the fucking crazy big statue that's after the kid.
Oh yeah,
I like that. I actually like that scene,
Okay.
even though that was a CG tastic.
Right, yeah.
But I actually did like that one. But yeah, there was just a few scenes where I was just like, it could have been better.
A lot of things in this movie could have been better, man.
I think the when they meet up for the first time in the Chinese restaurant.
Oh, that was pretty
I think
cool.
that's one of their
That
best
whole
scenes.
dynamic was good.
Great
Yeah,
scene,
great
great
scene.
scene.
But then it gets killed by all the fucking stupid shit that happens.
Right,
and
there's
it's
the
like,
CG and stuff like that. Yeah.
I get it. You guys are in town. Yeah.
I'm not impressed.
I did like the Easter egg, I guess, or the cameo appearance of Stephen King.
Oh, Stephen King
I
in
did
the
like
shop.
that.
I liked that a lot, but it was funny because I was watching and I start laughing, and then I look around and no one's like laughing at the scene. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's Stephen.
I don't think
King.
nobody knows who
I'm
he
like,
is.
that's Stephen King. You know,
Even when we were watching it, I don't think anybody realized who he was.
Yeah,
because-
it's weird. It's weird that no one,
'Cause-
because even I'm not a fan, I'm not a huge reader. I
But
just
you
know who he is.
Yeah, because people always laugh at cameos. Like every time you watch a Marvel movie,
Yeah.
when Stan Lee comes
Stan Lee.
out, people laugh. Stan Lee
Yeah.
doesn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
He just has to show up and people are already laughing.
Yeah.
So I kind of got that reaction when I saw Stephen King, and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh. And then they always mention, which I thought was a really funny ongoing joke, that his endings suck. I don't know if that's in the book, but I
Okay.
almost feel like that's him talking about himself
Yeah,
too.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Because a lot of people hate his ending. Stephen King will make it seem like it's gonna end happy, and then he'll just like fucking destroy like the ending and make
Right.
everything depressing.
And it's an ongoing joke with the writer himself, with Dave McAvoy's character Bill.
Yeah.
That everyone keeps saying, "Oh, your ending sucked."
Yeah.
Everyone kept saying that, and I
Well-
think it's funny seeing Stephen King mention that.
Yeah.
About it too.
Right. It was like
He's talking
ooh.
to himself. Dude.
Yeah, I actually really liked that. I don't like again. I don't know if what Bill's character is like that in the book with the whole ending thing, or
Right.
but it feels very self aware as far as now because yeah, like pretty much at the end of this one, everyone's supposed to like forget each other again and
Yeah.
like split apart.
Right.
So in this one, they made it so that everyone still remembers at the end. And
Yeah.
there was even supposed to be a scene at the end where the building like collapses and causes a bunch of people to die, and that kind of sets off the chain reaction of violence. Because every time there's a big moment of violence, that's when he comes back. So the movie ends with a building collapsing and killing people, like implying that it's gonna happen. He's gonna come back again. They cut that completely from the movie. So when Stephen King he actually helped them, make these movies. He said two of his requests was to put the Paul Bunyan scene in, which was his favorite, which is the statue,
Okay.
and then put the scene at the end where the building collapses. And the director's like, I'll put the Paul Bunyan scene because I like it too. I'm not putting that fucking building scene because we wanted it to end on a happy note.
Oh, okay.
So they totally like shredded that. So that's, yeah. Fix the ending. I didn't like your ending. Yeah, they were like, yeah, fuck that shit. So,
Well, I think I would have liked the ending of the building falling.
What? Like, then it's coming back or something?
It could happen.
yeah.
Maybe. I guess. Yeah. I think so. I think that'd be nice.
'Cause it's just like, again, it's a scary movie. I prefer it having an ominous feeling,
What-
which this movie never had it.
Well, it's funny because like
This one didn't.
Yeah,
the
I,
first
I,
one
I
had
would
it.
agree with you. This one didn't.
They-
The first one did, but this one didn't.
the directors are saying that like since the clown's been around for like centuries or whatever, like they could do a third movie and it could be like not even like in current time. It could be in the past or something because he's been around forever.
No, like
So-
spin-off
but-
stuff.
Yeah, like a spin-off or something.
Technically, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but it's interesting that like they could let the door open like that, and then they just could like venture off and then like a third movie.
Yeah.
and it's like 50 years or 100 years later or something.
I don't think it would work, but it is an idea.
It's like in space, Yeah.
Huh?
It in space.
No, they wouldn't
No.
fucking do
Like
that.
Jason in space, Remember that Jason
would've
movie
gone
in
too far.
space?
Yeah, you're talking about Jason X.
Yeah, what a great movie, right?
No,
No,
it
that
was
movie
terrible.
flopped.
Yeah, it X.
It X. Zit.
I also enjoyed James McAvoy a lot.
I thought he was okay.
The thing is that like James McAvoy is such a great actor, and in this movie, you got to think about this. He's a British actor doing an American voice while stuttering. Like how fucking crazy! And he didn't slip up. Like he did not. In all the scenes that he did, he never was. You saw a slight Britishness come in. Like,
So he gets a pass for.
he's that's amazing, dude. I want you to fucking the rest of this podcast stutter in a different accent right now, motherfucker.
Armando's gonna go. Wait. Where you really from? All right, now I gotta watch it see if you slip your Britishness.
But he didn't. Like, sometimes it slips up. Like when you're watching Benedict Cumberbatch, it slips up every once in a while.
In Wanted, McAvoy's accent was slipped. Funny
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, it slipped
But-
for sure.
but in
it,
this one,
like
no.
he's gotten so much better throughout the years, and like it's like he was on point. Even his stuttering was great.
Yeah.
But I do agree that the kid did a better portrayal of the stuttering
Right,
than he
but
did.
I
for
understand though that
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like you're an adult
He's
now,
an adult,
so
like,
like
yeah.
you got that for the most part under control, and
Yeah.
you see it mostly like when he's like talking about Georgie, like you see it when
Yeah.
he's like fucking nervous or like fucking like
Oh, now you mentioned the whole Georgie thing. There was a nice, cool callback scene that I liked where Bill was in the
attic or in the basement.
in the basement. And in the first movie, it was Pennywise was puppeteering him.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was him puppeteering him to
Yeah.
kind of imply like he was, at fault or whatever.
And
thought
I
that was a
also
cool-
like the part where he kills Georgie,
Georgie.
Right,
brother,
yeah.
and he kills himself at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like letting the past die.
Yeah, we
essentially.
were talking
Yeah.
about it. I love that scene because
I really liked
just
it.
the message of like let the past die. Like you have to bury this. Like you have
Right.
to you have to move on. Like
I-
it wasn't your fault because
Yeah.
he's holding it on so.
But
on so much.
I also like how it added an extra layer to it. It was like you could have played with him that day, but then
Yeah.
you pretended to be sick. Because in the first one, I don't remember the first one ever mentioning that
Yeah.
at all.
I just
But in this one, he
No.
did. He was like, "You liar," and then that's where he starts doing lies, whatever. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, that's kind of cool." So it adds like the extra guilt to it, and then he's
Yeah.
still like, "Yeah, even so, it's done, man."
yeah.
Yeah. It was that was probably another like one of the best scenes. Like
Yeah.
it was.
I'm
it
telling
was
you,
well- it
there's
was well
great
done.
scenes in
There's a
there.
lot of good scenes.
I'm convinced that missing hour is what messed up this movie.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
messed up to me is way too harsh a word, but it's what would demean the movie a
I
little
don't know.
bit to me.
I think it would just be too long at that point. I don't
Yeah,
know,
but-
I don't
but
know. I don't. I wasn't watching this movie and be like, "Fuck, dude!" Like, man, like even before I watched this movie, you told me, "Hey, there's an hour off of this movie."
Yeah.
And I'm watching it. I'm not like I could care less about that hour. I'm just like it was just too long. It kept going and going and going and like.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the scenes where like they were going back to that period of like they're trying to figure out like their tokens,
Right,
But
espe-
even that felt long. Like
What-
it slagged on
yeah.
too. I'm just like
What I did like about that, it gave the Stanley character more screen time because I feel like his character.
What, you
didn't
mean
get
Stan Lee?
No, Stanley.
Stanley,
Oh,
the one
Stanley.
that committed suicide.
Stanley's the Jewish one.
Stan Lee's
Stan
in
Lee.
this
I'm like Stan Lee. Thing? This is no Marvel movie.
Marvel, baby. So yeah, it gave Stanley like a lot of screen for him being dead in the movie. He was in
Right.
it a lot. I don't know how.
I don't. What you mean by a lot? Because I don't think he was in it that much. I think the memory of him was lingering throughout the movie.
That's what I meant. Like he was in.
Hi-
He was
hi-
in like every flashback.
The flashback,
And-
not,
and-
the, not the adult.
Oh, as a kid.
Yeah.
Well,
as an
his
adult,
character,
as an
that's what I
adult,
meant.
he's
Okay.
dead.
Yeah,
Like,
I was dead,
Yeah,
for
his
sure.
character was in it the entire movie.
Yeah.
They even had Richie's moment where he went into the church.
Yeah, and he's going to bar mitzvah.
which yeah, you got to see the ending of it because in the first movie you see him join it, in it, and then that's it, and then it cuts to everyone else doing their fucking depression montage. But it's kind of nice you got to see how that ended. That he pretty much said "fuck this."
Yeah.
So it was cool. So I was like, oh, I actually give a shit about this character now. And then you fucking killed him in the beginning. But
Yeah.
what I didn't understand, I don't know if you guys can explain it. So what was that note at the end? He committed suicide, but it wasn't because
He committed suicide because he knew that he wouldn't be able to like face up to it.
Yeah.
So he took
Oh.
himself out of the equation. That's basically what he says.
Yeah.
I'm
'Cause
gonna
he-
I'm gonna remove myself out of this because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be a burden onto you
Because
guys.
everybody needed to be there. He's like, I don't know if I could have been there.
Yeah.
And without me, you couldn't have done it. So
Oh, okay.
I need to take myself out of it.
I
but
take
in
myself
order
out
of it. Okay.
For that to happen, I need to kill myself.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't deal with it. Like
Okay.
I couldn't be there. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
Because what
I
I,
couldn't face it again.
what I understood at first, and I kept thinking that doesn't make any sense. What I thought at first was that he did it to unite them, and I'm like, that doesn't make
No.
any sense.
No.
No, he
Got
did
it.
it so they won't have to. So they won't all have to be there.
Like
Right.
worry about him or anything. Okay.
No, not worry about him because the thing is that they all had to be there.
Oh yeah, and he
And
wouldn't.
they all have to defeat him together. But he was so weak. He was so scared
Yeah,
of
he-
facing his past again.
It's funny that
That like I might as well just kill myself, and,
Yeah.
then you just have to deal with him.
Right.
Yeah.
it's funny that like
a little weird with the note, but whatever.
it's
I get
all,
it.
all of that like they had to be there. They had to get the tokens. But in retrospect, none of that had to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's funny that like for them they thought
Yeah.
this is the way that we need to do this.
Yeah.
Even the whole token system, even the whole ritual, like
Yes.
and it all failed.
So apparently that was a whole. What are we calling it now? Where
Subverting expectations.
that's what it's supposed. So apparently in the book they're supposed to like team up with this creature called the turtle and everything, and that's why they had a turtle like figure that was hovering around, and they even mentioned in the first movie to kind of set up this being that's chasing after Pennywise, that creature, like found them, and they kind of summon it and help it defeat it. But I guess in the movie they were like, nah, let's fuck it up, and then the power of bullying will stop it. That's essentially what it was.
Make them feel like shit.
You're just an old lady. Old lady.
You're a bitch. You're
You're-
tiny.
Get out of here. You're so small. Look how small you are. I'm like, kids, the power of bullying will destroy your bullies. So if you're being bullied, bully them back, apparently. That's what
Yeah.
I got out of this movie. So it was a very strange.
Isn't that how it ends though in the movie, the original movies? Isn't that how it ends? They bully the crap out of the.
I don't remember them bullying the
Spidey?
crap. I mean, I remember them facing the fears.
Yeah.
But
The first one was facing fears.
yeah,
Like I think they all had to face the fear of like this is not real. Like
Right.
it's just a fucking lie. I think the second one should have had a different message. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but the thing is, like, I feel like they never really got over their fear. Like, they faced it because they had no other option. Like, they just, they just kind of survived it, but they never really got over it. And then you see that in the second movie, like that they were never over it.
You know, what I would have wanted, instead of them flashing back to the moments before they faced it, I would have loved to seen the kids after they faced it. You know.
Like their life after, like a couple days after.
Yeah,
few
like just
weeks
like
after.
a year later or some shit like that. Like I would have loved to seen that, you know, instead of the moments before they went to defeat Pennywise.
I mean, that would have been interesting. That's an interesting. That would have been an interesting aspect because, part one, a lot of the Pennywise was the villain, but a lot of the also villains in the movie were the parents. The parents were very just like abusive in different ways. Like Beverly's father was a drunk and very abusive.
I never understood Beverly's that. Like, what is it? Like he was
Beverly
raping her.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
That's absolutely what it was. And that's why you put the perfume on her so it could remind her, remind him
Yeah.
of the wife that left. So he's kind of like.
If it's not rape, it's for sure sexual assault. Like
Yeah,
for
so-
sure,
so,
like he was like
I mean,
touching her inappropriately.
Obviously, the mom left because he beat the shit out of her. Well, actually, she
She
died.
died.
She
You're
died.
right, from that, from ass whooping or whatever the fuck. And then, yeah. So she's like, okay, you look just like your mother. Like
I don't remember that. That's what I didn't remember the first movie that I remember. I didn't remember why the mom was gone. I thought maybe she died for childbirth, but I don't remember. But yeah, for sure he was for sure like sexually assaulting her or raping her in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But even this dude Eddie's mom was like pigeonholing him inside, like you can never leave. You have to be careful.
Yeah,
Don't do
right.
this.
And-
She was it's like sickening him in the sense of like being afraid of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
So
and
like
then he ends up marrying a woman just like his
just
mom.
like his mom. Yeah.
So she gets with someone just like her dad.
Yeah.
And then he gets with the woman just like his mom.
So like now that you said that, like if you would have liked to see a year later because
But-
a lot of this, and that's what it shows, like they never got over their fear. Like they ended up.
Well, so here's the thing. They did get over their fear, but remember, when you leave, you forget. So I guess they kind of forgot the challenge that they went through. So that's why they had to kind of start from square one again.
But
So maybe now with the memory of
Yeah.
facing it again for the second time, especially now that in the movie they actually keep it, maybe now they'll move on from
yeah,
there.
it would have been interesting, like you said, to see a year later. Maybe like Beverly would have stood up to her dad, and maybe Eddie would have stood up to his mom and such, because a lot of those kids had their own version of like troubles at home
Yeah.
or the bully. Like it would have been interesting to see how they would have like handled adversity, overcome adversity
Yeah.
a year later after dealing with like
Yeah.
Pennywise.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about the scene that everyone's talking about, which is it's damn, what's his name? Richie. The Richie was pretty much in the closet like the whole time.
I thought it was fine. I don't really see like the end. Like, are they implying that Rich and Eddie were an item? Are they implying that like
No,
they loved each other?
The way I took it as is that he loved him.
Yeah, that's why I took it like
He loved him.
I took him as like what, in love, like
Or-
like in romance. I took it as like they were like brothers.
Like brothers.
I took it as
That's
that.
the way I took it. I mean, maybe it was like because I was looking at a scene. So somebody saw somebody was posting the scene from the first one. Remember where they're all slowly like saying goodbye one by one when they're kids?
Yeah.
Apparently, when Eddie leaves, like Richie just like starts like staring at him. Like everyone kind of goes, "Okay, bye, Eddie," and then they go back to themselves. But then you see Richie like kind of like looking at him. His eyes linger on him. So like like a longing like feeling. So maybe he did like fall in love with him, and then it ended up just being that's my best friend.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't take that as a longing. I would have just like fuck like. I when I watched that movie, I was looking at him as like a fuck, like reflecting upon everything that happened.
Yeah, this is
between them.
best. But yeah, I guess it could
Like
be.
so. Like, the thing is that for me, okay, it's okay if they wanted to make him a gay character, or even if he was ever written as a gay character, it's fine. But they should have. I think they should have implanted more of the seeds in the first movie, for it to pay off in a second movie.
Maybe.
Maybe, but they're
m-
kids though. Like
Maybe if I watch the first one again,
maybe it's
it'll
there.
show him.
Maybe it connects. Yeah, and also like they're kids. Like the kids, you might not know exactly
Yeah.
what you feel, so you're like,
But definitely
Yeah.
a lot of the scenes that probably got deleted from the first one, or maybe not, like they were put in here. There were so many scenes that were from when they were kids showing up in this movie. I was kind of like, it's a little strange. Remember I was telling you that it's kind of weird that these scenes that all take place before they defeated
Yeah.
Pennywise are showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Felt a little out of place. I was
Yeah.
like, oh. And you can tell. To me, I could definitely tell that they de-aged the kids. They were, especially when they were
Yeah,
in the
for sure.
clubhouse with like the, what was it, the shower caps.
Yeah.
I was looking at their faces. I'm like, why do they look so weird? I couldn't tell what it was. Like their pores were missing or something. Like they had smoothed out skin, and I was like, oh, this is where they de-aged them. I heard about this, and it looked weird.
I don't know. It's
I didn't really notice actually.
Yeah, especially Richie, because I mean, I just saw
Yeah.
him straight out of Stranger Things, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why does his face look so like round and like fat, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just because they were trying to give him like the baby face, but they were smoothing it so his skin didn't look like skin. It looked
Right.
like fucking porcelain.
Mm.
So it was a little weird.
yeah. I don't know. It's the whole him. I just felt like the whole Gabe thing. I wish there would probably be more of it in the first movie, at
Yeah.
least with them. You
So you
know.
can-
Apparently, Stephen King did imply it. He just never
Yeah.
really said it, but he implied it, and that's the
Right.
reason why he had his character, that Richie's character, marry a woman just like his mom, as well, like a
Yeah.
super fat, just like woman that babied him. So I felt like all these characters, they
You
all
mean Eddie?
married, huh?
Yeah,
I mean Eddie
No,
Yeah.
Richie.
No, Richie is
was a cat was a comedian. He wasn't.
Yeah,
really
yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
But-
No,
no,
he did not marry
Ed-
somebody.
Eddie was the
Yeah,
one
he
who
did.
married-
He married a fat woman.
That was Eddie.
Eddie.
No, Richie as well.
In
Richie
the book or in
no,
the movie?
in the movie they
No,
mention it.
I don't think so, man.
No, they
I
don't
think
mention it.
No.
Well, in the book, Richie does marry a fat woman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Nah, because in the movie they ask him like, oh, and I bet you marry somebody else twice your size, and he's like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't think maybe you're confusing the book with the movie itself, but I don't think in the movie he was ever married, or he was married, and then he got divorced or something like that. I don't know. I don't think in the movie they actually talked to him about Richie being married.
Okay. Probably not, but
But-
definitely.
well, the biggest one was when he was mentioning that he was a comedian, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't write my own jokes."
Oh yeah, which is funny because he says that, but then every single fucking scene
He
just
has a joke.
had to say a joke. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you sure you didn't just
Yeah.
whatever?
I mean, it was to going to that point for me where it's like, all right, everything you have to do is a joke, but I kind of get it. It was like a defense thing. Like I can't be real because like I'm trying to like hide everything about me.
Yeah.
Hide how I feel because I'm fucking like scared shit, and hide like hide his identity. So I understood like why he was always making jokes.
Yeah, no, I understood too, but one of the jokes I hated the most was at the end when
Which part?
Eddie's dying.
when
right?
Eddie's dying, and I'm pretty sure he tells them, "Oh, I fucked your mom,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
Yeah.
why?
It's
Why,
because
dude?
it's
This
because
is
they
so
always got to do that.
stupid.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's a joke just to lighten the moment, but this moment didn't need to be lightened. This movie needed to be heightened in like scary or sadness or whatever it was. Like it needed to be more of that
Intense.
intense.
It was.
like,
It was
you know?
It's a more like literally they're running for like
Ex-
exit, so it
yeah.
had to be an intense
It had to be
scene.
intense, and I didn't need that levity. Like
Would
that
you-
levity just kind of took you out of that.
Would
moment.
you have preferred like go get him, Tiger?
Probably, yeah. or him saying like I love you or something like that. Like
Yeah.
like I always loved you, or man, like I wish we didn't go apart or something like that. Like
Yeah.
something emotional between them.
Yeah.
But that joke, I know they joked a lot and they fucked around with each other, but it's just in that moment, it's kind of like, dude, you're dying. Like,
Yeah.
this is your last words to your best friend. Nah, I just kind of like I would never say that to you, Orlando.
You're right.
And if I'm dying and you're running away for your life, I'm not gonna be like, I fucked your mom. Like,
But what would you say? Let's say right now. You're act like you're dying.
I'm gonna put
You're
my-
dying.
I gotta go, man.
Orlando, I figured your mom.
That's so much better.
Thanks for not fucking her, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. A plus. I mean, but again, it's just I felt like in that moment it just needed to be more emotion.
Yeah.
Than like. Hey,
Yeah,
this make you happy.
I agree with you. Just for the
a joke.
theme that they're going for
Yeah.
at that moment is very just like intense. Very,
Yeah.
we gotta make a quick exit.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
not.
he didn't want to leave him, and it's kind of like,
Yeah, it's not a moment to lighten up the mood. This is
No.
very intense, especially
Oh,
where
okay.
a big ass clown is chasing you.
yeah, exactly.
So I must have read it wrong. Richie had several failed relationships with women, but had never gotten married. That's what
There
it
you
was.
go. Yeah, Eddie had a big wife.
Yeah.
Oh.
Eddie was the one that had that, but I thought Richie had it too. That's what I was gonna say. This is a little strange that they're all having that, but
Yeah,
yeah. So he's the one that ended up marrying his mom, essentially.
yeah,
in a
essentially,
weird way.
yeah.
yeah.
So okay, that's what it was.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, like overall, I felt like the movie, like I felt it at times it was scary. I did think that the scares were getting to a point where it's very like formulatic in sense like it's very like the setup is always there.
Yeah. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, like I knew when the scare was coming, like all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when.
And I'm not a big fan of scary movies, so I'm just like, if I'm catching it, there's a problem.
yeah.
Well, what was the other weird scene that was supposed to be, I guess, a horror, but they turned into comedy? Oh, where the thing like vomits on him, and then it starts playing the song.
He's choking the shit out of it. And like,
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun. I was like, what?
I'm
the
just kind of
fuck?
quiet. When Eddie's downstairs in the basement and he's saving his mom.
Yeah, the thing with the
And
tongue.
then the thing comes out with the tongue and he's choking the shit out of it and
yeah.
I'm feeling the life and I'm killing it and it just fucking vomits on him.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really weird. And he's just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? So it's like pretty much all the Eddie and Richie scenes felt weird because they
Yeah.
tried to make it funny in scenes that should have been scary. It felt a lot like Thor Ragnarok. I'm like, can this moment just be serious?
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like the
like-
part where Eddie got stabbed, then he's like coming out of like the room, and he's just like, "Oh no, my face!" It's just like, what's
Yeah,
happening
and
to
then,
you?
and then when he's hiding in the shower, he's like slowly like peeking in as
Yeah.
the shower head is closing.
Yeah.
And people were cracking up in the theater like it was funny, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And also, of course, the bully's acting where he was still acting like he was a fucking child.
Yeah.
And it was just all bizarre. I'm just like, this seems like
The-
it seems like a dream sequence to me rather than it really happening.
the
It's so
bully
strange.
acting is fine because like you can tell he's like fucking deranged, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, you're acting like you're out of your mind, so that's fine. It's I get what you're saying though in terms of like everybody else like acting like
Yeah.
It was like even Jessica Chastain in these scenes, Beverly's character essentially. When she walks in and she's stabbed and she screams, I hated it. She's like, ah! I'm just like this feels fake as fuck, dude. Like
I don't even remember that part. Maybe my brain.
Yeah, I
did
don't
that.
remember that part
There's
either.
two scenes where she did that. When somebody gets shot and she's the dead body, she's like, ah! She starts screaming like that. I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah. It's probably where
I'm
they.
like, and am I like, dude? Even you as a child didn't do that.
I'm very
and
exci-
yet you're fucking doing this as a girl. Like,
I'm
it's
excited
kinda
to
like-
listen to the podcast, and I can wait for these like screeching ass yells.
Oh
of
yeah,
your-
for this part to pop your speakers.
Yeah,
open.
I'm very excited for that part. But yeah, I told.
I didn't like it. It took me out of it. I'm just like, dude, you didn't do that when you were a child, and it wasn't. Yeah, you're doing it as a grown as adult. Just like it felt fake.
Mhm.
It didn't feel like oh shit, like what the fuck happened to you? You know?
Yeah.
It was kind of like why, dude? Like,
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting parts, but overall, I really did enjoy the movie.
Agree, yeah.
I did like it. It just doesn't hold a candle. I'm excited to see the extra hour. I know Armando isn't, but I am.
I would watch it for sure.
Definitely,
So,
there should definitely be more bully scenes.
would you watch the extra hour or no?
if you guys tell me it's good, I'll check it out.
All right,
I'm not gonna go like, oh, it's out. I'm like, oh, time to watch it. Nah, I'm just gonna be like, hey, is it good, Pedro?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Then
Yeah, Paige likes everything though, so
that is true. I'll be Orlando. Did you like it? But you're not gonna watch it by yourself, so it's like you're never gonna watch it.
I watch it with Pedro.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Let me know.
Cool beans.
We'll
Let me know.
we'll hold hands like Richie and Eddie.
And then we'll do a short podcast about it.
Yeah.
See if it was worth our time.
All right. Welcome to our podcast. No, and then that's it. Quickest
Do
podcast.
not watch it.
Not worth our time.
The bully scenes didn't make sense even with the extra hour.
We'll see.
All right, ladies and gents, this is the end of our podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. You can follow us on our social media platforms. You can email us, hit us on the DMs. You know, any topic you want us to talk about, we're open books here.
Of course.
Thank you for our loyal 20 fans. We love you.
I think it's 30 now.
Damn.
Shout out.
Moving on up.
Moving
everybody.
on up. All right, till next time, everyone.
Bye bye.
Later.